So hello again, and welcome to your Hatha yoga practice for the back, with also a special focus on postures we can do seated, including in a chair. So if you have a chair, I recommend that as a prop today that will allow you to try some postures that you might be familiar with, such as seated twists, or even a relaxation pose in a different way. And that might be interesting and a nice variation for your practice. So we'll start with a seated, or rather a relaxation using the chair. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can also take our classic relaxation on the back. And for this, you put the chair at the edge of your mat so that you can put your legs up on top, like so. You're gonna put your lower legs on the seat and come down onto your back so that your knees are more or less over your hips. Move that around a little bit, and so that your entire back can rest long and relax on the floor. And at the same time, your legs are relaxing into the support of the chair. But what this does is, by keeping an extra bend in the knees, it will encourage your lower back to relax even more, and even soften the area around the hips, the hip flexors. So take the time to get settled and to make any adjustments that you need to get comfortable. We'll be here for just a couple minutes, maybe 2 or 3. But again, if there's anything that is working really well for you or not working at all, you could always do a little bit more or completely leave it out and modify what you need to. Just be sure that you give yourself the time to fully be present, to be fully in the now, right here. And this will help your body and your mind, and maybe even some of the more subtle aspects of your emotions, psychology, allow you to just notice what you're feeling. And then if you notice that you're holding on to something, either physically in form of tension in the body, or maybe some kind of mental activity still rushing around, see if you can release that with a big exhale, maybe even sighing as you breathe out the mouth. It's one of the body's most fun techniques for releasing tension is to make some sound. So feel free to do that if it feels good. And then we'll just settle in. Once you've noticed anywhere in your physical or energetic body that you can encourage to relax with an exhale. Once you're feeling settled, comfortable, and relaxed, then bring your full attention to your natural breathing. And just observe the rise of each inhale. And enjoy the fall of your exhales. We'll continue like this for 5 more smooth, easy breaths. Feel free to continue as long as you need. And if you have a couple other props available, you might have seen a block or a bolster or something at home that can be a little bit of a stable weight, you might want to try that. You could also use the legs of your chair as we bring the left leg down to the ground and keep the right leg right where it is. So the legs in line with the hips. You might have to adjust your seat there. We want to use the legs of the chair or an extra support there on the outside of the left leg to encourage the leg to stay right in a parallel alignment with the other leg and in alignment with your hips. And again, this is just about letting your body settle down with gravity. So see if you can let go of any excess effort or doing you might be concerned about in this pose. There is nothing to do here. It's just a simple variation of our initial relaxation to see if that changes anything or if that allows you to notice anything new. Again, we'll take about 5 unrushed, easy breaths in, and 5 times take the time for a full breath out. You could even squeeze at the end of your exhale if that helps you get the last air out, pulling the navel into the body, and then continue again with a full natural breath. And when you're ready, slowly making way you're out, being careful of your knees and the position of the chair, and setting up for the other side. Depending on how big your chair is, it might be enough to use the legs of the chair now on the outside of the other leg, or take a little extra support to the outside of your right leg to just keep the knee pointing up in the same line as your hip bones. And feel free to use your hands again to adjust your pelvis, adjusting the area right under the lower back so that it feels long and extended, and also resting on the ground. Very interesting for me to notice that this side is already very different. I'm feeling more resistance. And that could be a sign of a general imbalance or an asymmetry in the body, especially with regards to how I sit, especially because I know I tend to spend a lot of my day either sitting or alternating between standing. So just by taking the time here to let the body relax and restore itself, you are helping your body return to its more balanced, more harmonious state without having to do anything at all. So again, see what you can notice on this side as you finish your 5 breaths. And just enjoy what it is that you're feeling. Even if it's an uncomfortable feeling, perhaps you can appreciate a little bit more how that feeling changes as you relax. Lovely. This sequence is a really great one to do, especially if you have any stiffness, any discomfort in your lower back. Go ahead and get your legs out from under the chair and just roll over onto your side. We're going to use the chair a little bit more here at the beginning, and then we'll come back to our mat and won't need much of anything, except maybe a strap if you have it. That's a nice option as well. So your chair can be placed on the mat or just off of it, whatever feels better. But what I want you to have is, actually to the side might be a little bit easier to see. I want you to have a little bit of distance between the back of your chair and your back. And the other key piece here is to have your feet resting easily on the floor. So if your legs are a little shorter, putting something underneath your feet, like that block from before, or a tall book that might help you adjust to have a more stable, comfortable seat. You could also take the block and put it between your feet, and this will help remind you with that just physical, haptic feedback there to keep the feet in alignment with the knees. So the ankle there, right underneath the knee, and that middle line of the knee running right back through the front of the hips. So sit up tall. Again, we need a little bit of space behind the back for the arms in a little bit. And also just because the backrest of the chair, if we sit and use it unconsciously and without awareness for the posture of the body, we can actually encourage some of those imbalanced habits and can even lead to that back discomfort or pain. So we're just going to do a 3-part breathing exercise here before we start adding in some motion. So sitting up tall and with your chin maybe parallel to the ground, see if you can relax your shoulders down your back, maybe shrugging them up at first to help that. And exhaling, softening your shoulders and relaxing into your seat. Rest your arms on your legs. The palms can face down. That usually encourages a more grounded feeling, or resting up if that feels better. Now bring your attention to your belly. And we're going to, for the next 5 breaths, just concentrate your awareness here in the lowest part of your breathing room and exaggerate the breath. As you exhale, feel the belly contracting, the navel pulling back into the spine. We'll continue like this for a few more breaths. And again, with every exhale, taking the time to fully release. Let go of all that old air and anything you don't need. Now we're going to do something similar, a big breath, but we're going to engage the core a little bit when we sit. So instead of letting the belly expand out, we're going to brace the core. And so this feels like, if you were in last week's class, you remember we imagined you were going to be hit by someone, but hopefully not a scary feeling, no worry about that. But if you let reflex take over, as you imagine, oh, I'm about to have that impact, you naturally brace your whole core. The other thing that we do is lengthen the lower back there, pull the navel in. And now we're going to try to do that same deep breath here, but while holding this energy, holding this power around your center, so the navel stays close to the body. And as you breathe deeply, notice where the air moves. More into the ribs now, maybe even more into the upper chest. So continue like this for 4 more breaths, doing your best to stay concentrated and aware of what you're feeling in your core, but simply allowing the breath to move wherever it wants to move while you hold this container of energy around your center. Now, if this causes your breathing to become difficult, or you feel like you're clenching your jaws, maybe squeezing some of the muscles around the sides of the head and your eyes, just relax and take it a little bit easier. And after your next exhale, you can release that holding and then just pause and feel. The last part of today's breathing exercise here is going to be taking a full yogic breath. So it combines a little bit of what we've done before, both that awareness and the movement of the breath starting at the bottom. But now we'll let the breath fully just flow, freely filling up any of the spaces available to it. So this is about taking your deepest, but still fully relaxed breath in And as you exhale, a smooth, continuous flow of breath out. No rush, no stress, no forcing anything. And to see if you can let go of any excess holding or any of that extra activity again in the mind. This is just about enjoying your natural, beautiful, and very big breath. And so see if you can notice now that the expansion in the lowest part of the breathing room naturally opens up into the ribs as the space between them broadens, the ribs lift. And when the breath is very free to flow, even your collarbones at the top of your breath are going to start to lift, the back body opening up with the breath, and exhale the same way out, just letting the breath be as easy, as free as the wind, or maybe a soft wave-like feeling. We're going to take 2 more of these full yogic breathing here, really taking your time to watch the breath and see if you can be extra aware of the space in your back body, how that may be moving and expanding as you breathe. Lovely. So breath awareness is one of the most fundamental ways to connect with our experience. And just by connecting with what you're feeling, you actually let, again, your body do its good work. So now with some movement here, we're going to start really simple with the shoulders, the common tension spot in the body. So we're going to use the exhales to contract and retract the shoulders. So sit up tall on an inhale. And on an exhale, you're going to pull your shoulder blades back and towards each other. So that's the contraction and pulling back. And then inhale to relax. We'll do that about 4 more times. Exhale, pull the shoulder blades back and towards each other. And inhale, relax. Exhaling. And inhaling. Nice. I'm going to do that 1 or 2 more times in your rhythm. And the next time you do it, we're going to hold for a few breaths, maybe 2 or 3. So inhale, sitting up tall, and exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades back and together as much as you can do so, again, without needing to hold your breath. So if your breath has become, again, difficult in any way, you're trying too hard, working too much, let's see if you can sit up a little bit easier while holding that retraction and squeezing feeling of your shoulder blades. And then inhale, relax. And feel free to just move the shoulders around or even wiggle your head around a bit. And take the time to just notice and feel. Good work. So this next one is supposed to look silly. We're going to do that same motion of retracting, but we're going to try to hold the spine very stable, very long, and we're just going to slide the head, so the part of the body that is resting at the top of the back, top of the spine, and especially the cervical spine. So you know you're doing it right if it feels like you're developing a double chin. Sit up tall on an inhale, and then as you exhale, just slide the head back. It's a little hard to do while talking. And inhale, release. Again, try to sit up tall and relax without changing the posture in the back. You're just sliding the head back and forward. Do that a couple more times using your exhale to retract. Oh, it's a little bit of resistance for me. And inhale to just release. Come back to neutral. And on your last one, or your next one, exhale, and we're going to slide the head back and hold it here for just 2 or 3 breaths. You need to come out of it. please do so. Again, just notice without doing, without trying to change anything. And use your inhale to release and observe. Lovely. Now we're just going to do some easy head bobs or head circles. I like to do a little bit of a figure 8 sometimes, although I'm feeling today a circle, a really small circular motion might be a little easier. I'm going to start at a level of just spontaneous motion, leading with the center top of the head, either drawing that circle or maybe drawing a figure 8 from that point, if that feels good for you. And then taking the time to check out motion in a different direction. Reversing your circles. Oh, it's surprisingly different for me in one direction. And now I'm noticing one side of my neck more than the other. Could be a sign that I hold my neck often more in one direction than the other when I'm at my workspace. Maybe you're noticing something similar or very different. That is the important work that we're doing today. It's really just observing and being in the body. Okay. So after any easy, spontaneous moments, feel good, feel fluid, maybe move the shoulders again. We're going to take the arms behind the back and try to rest the hands at the lowest part of your back, so at your sacrum, while still keeping your shoulders relaxed. So if you find your shoulders are either squeezing up by your ears, or if you're pulling the shoulders down, we're actually decreasing the space for the breath in the front body if we're pulling our collarbones down. So we want to see if we can get that same feeling that we had in the biggest breath and return for 4 full breaths here with your hands clasped. If holding your hands together is too much, you're noticing a lot of sensation in the chest, you could also just reach for your elbows. Sometimes that's easier. Or even holding a strap between your hands. Now we want to slowly start to move the hands away from the body with the next 2 breaths, but keep the shoulders relaxed in the upper back. Breathe deeply. And see if you can use your exhales to let go or soften any hard feelings, any physical tension, especially in the upper chest and the shoulders and neck. And this time on an exhale, release and bring your hands back to neutral. Nice. So we're going to now stretch in the opposite direction, the arms forward. Bring your arms up to parallel, but make sure the shoulders stay relaxed. And you're going to grab your right wrist, or just right above the wrist if that's easier to hold the hand. Sitting up tall, and let's use a little bit more legs, a little bit more core on this one. We want to keep the spine extended, nice and long, and we're going to use traction in the opposite arm. So I'm using my left arm to pull my right hand, right wrist over to the left side. There's a very small twist here, but you might be feeling a lot of sensation in the back of the shoulder. That's good. Just make sure that the shoulders are not impinging around the neck, so you're not feeling like you're pinching or squeezing your neck. The neck should feel long on all sides. Let's take another breath and then release. And maybe even pausing, if you notice a big difference, can be really, really informative. Then we'll do the other side, arms relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Looking forward and then beginning to, with a stable base, so maybe the feet reach down, the belly pulls in a little bit more. You start to pull or use traction to bring your left hand and the left wrist more over to the right side. But you're not really letting your body move very far. The breath stays big, the inhale's full, and your exhales provide a nice sense of even sighing can help encourage that release. Great. Okay. Now we're going to just do a simple head turn here with a hold. I'm going to start, usually I start to the right side, so you can feel to start that way too, but I'd like to look over at you. So sitting up tall again, exhale and turning your head over to the right so that your chin is moving in the direction of that shoulder, but staying parallel still to the ground. And you're going to feel like your left shoulder, it has a tendency to lift up and move away from the back. See if you can keep that left shoulder really heavy. And again, not forcing, not trying to go beyond your edge. We're looking for a range of movement where you really start to feel a nice stretch in the side of the neck. And it'll help to encourage that left shoulder to relax down a little bit heavier. One last breath here, maybe even looking up into the right corner of your vision, and then exhale, release back to center and observe. Inhale, long spine, and when you're ready, exhale to the second side. So now you're bringing the chin over the left shoulder. And see if you can relax that right shoulder a little bit more into your upper back. It's connecting with that support. The right shoulder feeling nice and heavy. And you see if you can relax a little bit more into the rhythm of your breath. It might help, you might enjoy the extension through the neck if you start to turn your eyes up to that upper left corner a little bit more. Again, let that right shoulder be extra heavy. One last breath. And inhale back to center. Good stuff. Ooh, that's a big feeling of release when I let go of that one. So that's a good preparation for what we're going to do next, which is a nice threading or sliding action for the nerve that runs from the tip of the middle finger all the way up the arm and even back through the side of the neck behind the ear. This is called the median nerve. So sit up tall and grounded and extend that right arm out. And we're going to let the motion of your breath lead the way. So as you inhale, you're going to flex the hand and turn your head over to the right to look at the fingers. And then as you exhale, turning the hand in the opposite direction, the head comes back towards center. I'm going to do about 4 or 5 repeats of that. Keeping the arm extended, but the elbow soft. The shoulder is heavy and relaxed. And the movement is led by the breath. It might even help to visualize the action of this really long nerve in the body that's sliding a little bit. So it's moving gently and smoothly through the wrist, and especially through the carpal tunnel. This tends to be a spot of inflammation and just discomfort for a lot of people. So this whole sequence so far is designed to bring some relief to the carpal tunnel, more awareness through the median nerve and the head and the neck. And that's going to help us feel a little bit more relaxed and ready for the rest of our work. Let's do that one more time. Sitting up tall, sliding, and imagining that nerve kind of just threading between those tight spaces in the arm and around the shoulder. Great. Other side. I'm going to show you from the front side, because sometimes that looks a little different. Sitting up in your center. Arm is extended, shoulder is relaxed, elbows soft. And with your inhale, flex the hand. And exhale, fold that hand forward as you come back. With all these movements, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to be aware of, but we never want to try to force something. So if you feel like one side is much more difficult to get a sense of, just not feeling that side as much, or maybe a lot more, maybe it's quite sensitive, See if you can be a little bit easier, a little bit more compassionate with yourself about those differences. And rather than trying to change them, just notice them as they are and trust your body to let you know what you need. Trying harder with all of our yogic exercises really is often counterproductive. We're just looking for awareness and feeling. One more for good luck here. This is my stickier side. Maybe you've noticed a big difference too. And then releasing and enjoying your seat. We're almost done with our seated pose. We're just going to do one more since we've done that great prep work for the wrist area and the carpal tunnel area. So you're going to sit up tall and bring your hands together in front of your heart. Most important here again is the relaxed shoulders, the long neck, long on all sides. And then you're going to start to push the hands against each other, but keep the fingers spread wide. This will help encourage the carpal tunnel to stay open. And if you're already feeling a strong sensation in the forearm here, then this is enough. Breathe deep into that. And if you feel like you could use a little bit more sensation, start to lower the hands. So we move from parallel to creating more of a diamond shape through the arms and the front of the body. That's my edge right here, but if your hands are feeling very strong and flexible, you might need, or you might want a little bit more stretch there. And this one is a great preparation for our last seated pose in the chair here. We're just going to take a deeper stretch through the hand, but this one is really important that you don't feel any sharp pain, you don't feel anything pinching through the wrist. So sit up tall, spread your fingers. Sometimes it's nicer to just let the fingers relax. And with your arm extended, we start to stretch the fingers back towards your shoulders. Again, this one's very beneficial for the carpal tunnel if you keep that wrist, if the feeling in the wrist feels open. And again, nothing like flames, nothing like pins or needles pinching or a cutting sensation. That is a sign the nerve is actually being pushed or pinched by something that might be inflamed. And if that's too much, it's not serving you. Other side, ready, when you're ready. Big hand, relaxed hand, but then we use the other hand to just encourage a little bit more deeper stretch through the forearm, maintaining an open, relaxed feeling through the wrist. Nice. And then just some easy circles in both directions. Circular and spiral movement. Fluid action is what the joints of the body need to stay healthy. Even though these things are so simple, we often don't do it enough to keep those parts of our bodies feeling mobile and in their best shape. Okay, so if you're using a chair, you can put it off to the side now. Come to a standing position at the top of your mat. Standing in mountain pose, another very simple pose. So keep your feet about hip distance apart and right in line with those knees, the knees easy. So you relax the knees a little bit and have the notice, be aware that the knees are also right in line with the front of your hips. This will let you stand up taller, easier, but also in a more balanced way. We're using our legs here. You can encourage your legs to be active a little more by spreading your toes. If you imagine, you can even look down and spread the toes apart so you can see the color of your mat underneath all the toes, and then see if you can relax your toes down one at a time. And notice if your knees tend to knock in or maybe open out into a cowboy kind of legs. But the knees love to be, and they're best at supporting the movement and the rest of the body when they're right in line with the middle of your foot, right under your hips, helping you stand up and feel good. Now notice your tailbone, that lowest part of the spine, and see if you can bring it down a little bit as you lift your kneecaps up. This will help encourage your lower abdomen. If you feel this part of your front body right below the belly, below the navel, notice that this is also feeling engaged when the legs are engaged. The arms rest heavy by your side, and relax the shoulders again into the upper back. We'll take 3 more of your most enjoyable breaths here. Closing your eyes if you like. Maybe notice how you're holding your body and standing, especially through your feet. Notice where the weight in your feet is. See if you can bring that weight a little bit more to the center rather than at the front or the back. Nice. We're going to do a side body stretch here to open up a little bit and then bring some more movement. And for this one, I like to bring the feet together, but you can also keep them hip distance apart. Spreading the toes and reaching down through the back of the foot. You go ahead and bring your arms overhead, but keep those shoulders relaxed. So keep all of that same work from before. A nice engagement in the core, length through the lower back, pulling the tailbone towards the ground as you reach your crown of your head up and grab that right wrist. With the shoulder, especially that right shoulder relaxed, we start to bend over to the left side. Maybe you won't make it very far, or maybe this side is a little bit stickier or stiffer today. You could also do this one dynamically. Inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, bending only to your side. Notice your shoulders now, there's a tendency to roll forward. So if you find yourself doing that, it's often better to come out, be in a more neutral position. And with that nice engagement through the legs and through your core, bend over to your side. So we're really opening that right side of the body, especially the space between the ribs, all the way from the shoulder down to the hips, while squeezing that left side. One last breath. And use a little bit more core to come back up to center on an inhale. And when you're ready, we're just going to switch to the other side. Ground your body, find your center, and get long on an inhale. And then exhale, side bend to the right. Noticing already if there's any big differences here. My left shoulder is looser than my right one, so it has a tendency to pull out of the body a bit more. I'm going to try to relax it. Soften the elbow, but then still enjoy a nice length here on the left side. As I reach down, especially through that left heel, to side bend a little bit more to the right. Staying in the stretch for another breath, or dynamically coming in and out. And then to come out, when you're ready, inhale, activate the core, and exhale, release your arms by your side. And another just couple breaths in standing mountain pose to observe. Maybe feet together or as wide as your hips. Lovely. We're gonna come into, I think, one of Soloma's favorite poses, because she really likes to, she loves to help people be in their bodies, and this pose is so awkward, it really helps you feel all of your body at once. So it's a variation of chair pose. For this one, I do recommend your feet are hip distance apart. You might spread the toes. You're going to bring your arms up to parallel to the ground. Again, relax the shoulders and lengthen the whole back. So ground through the back of your foot. The heel reaching down to the ground. On an inhale, activate the core as you get tall. And as you exhale, we're just going to sit back a little bit. Might not be a very big seat, but you're imagining your tailbone reaching as if there was a chair behind you. It's called either awkward pose, because it is, or a modified chair pose. You can stay here in this variation, or if you want a little more challenge, especially for your balance, you could come up onto the balls of your feet and your toes. You're going to activate your core here. Try to extend through the whole spine. Keep those shoulders relaxed. And by keeping your focus on one point that's not moving, you'll help support your balance. See if you can lower that tailbone down just a little bit more. But keep those knees parallel, following that alignment between the center of the foot and center of the hip. One more breath here. Be coming down a bit more, and then inhale and release. Good stuff. So we're going to do that same stretch now for the front of the chest that we did seated, and notice that that's different. I like a wide base for this one. Rest your hands folded on your back, and if you can remember, rest your hands the other way. So now the other thumb is on top. Shoulders relaxed, or maybe grab the elbows, or using a strap if you can't easily hold your hands or elbows. Chin up tall, the neck is long, and breathe deep. As you soften the shoulders again, you can soften the tops of the shoulders and the front side, and then engage your core. So we don't want the hips to go falling back or forward. We want to keep them nice and neutral. The tail reaches down as you start to bring your hands away from your back. So we're lifting the hands and moving them away from the body. The key here is to keep that shoulder engaged in the upper back support. We take 2 more deep breaths here. And this time on an inhale, release. And let the arms rest by the side. Okay. So we're going to do some just easy circles with the whole arm. And widen the legs when you're ready to bring now the circles into the whole arm. Starting small, standing tall. The knees are easy, a soft bend. The legs are very strong, so you can lift up through the crown of the head while bringing length through the entire extension of the spine. And just let the arm circles get bigger if that feels good. One thing you can do if your arm circles feel very easy through the shoulders, very round, is start to change which arm you bring in front. So you can cross your arms and practice a little bit of coordination through that bridge in the brain by alternating one arm and then the other one on top. We'll slow that down and then go in the other direction. See if you can bring your awareness back into the easy, natural rhythm of your breath. And if it feels good, make the circles bigger. What we're also looking for here is to be a little bit warm, a little bit tired feeling in the shoulders. We know we're using them. And then make the circles so big if it feels still fluid. If it's feeling crunchy or resistant in a big way, it's better to stay with easier arm circles. You can again start crossing your arms, alternating which arm comes in front. Great. And then slow it down, pause, and observe. Let the front of your arm, so the palm, the bicep face forward as the shoulder stays relaxed in the back. And just take 2 more breaths here, standing tall in your mountain, bringing all of your awareness back to yourself. Especially noticing how you feel in the upper back, the middle back, letting that tailbone, the sacrum, the lowest part of your low back, relax down towards the ground. Lovely. And so that's what we're going to do too. We're going to come down to the ground here. And let's start on our backs with just a little hug. With your feet on the floor, let your whole back get long on the ground, and then just hug your legs into the body. Nice squeeze. And a little bit of a roll side to side. Sometimes I don't know, is it my back that's creaking or is it the creaky wood floor? Today I think it's pretty clear. So we're going to take a little twist here. And there's a couple of variations you could do. You could stay with your arms out wide and just let both knees come over together to the left if they easily reach the floor. Another variation is to have a cross in the legs. So you bring the right knee on top of the left. This will just change how far you can go, and it's a little bit more supported. I find I can use the feet. I don't take as deep of a twist. This can be a more, just an easier version of the twist to get into. You can keep the head, the back of the head on the ground and look up, if that feels best in your neck. Or let the head roll over to the side. Twists are one of the essential components for a healthy back routine, because the spine is kind of like this fifth limb of the body that is holding and supporting us in all of our movements, but we often don't move it enough in all of the ways that it can. It's naturally long, it can curl or flex, but this twisting action also helps keeps the joints in between the spine or in between the vertebrae that support the spine, keeps those discs healthy. Come out slowly, mindfully, and on an inhale, bringing your legs up, but use your core for support. And exhale and release back into your twist. Great. When you're ready, with either knees together, maybe shift your hips to the left, and that gives you a little bit more room to bring your knees over to the right. You have the option to look over to the left. Try to keep that left shoulder blade resting on the floor. So bringing both knees down to the ground has your upper body rolling off. It's not the version of the twist we're looking for today, so you might try a variation like the crossed knees, or maybe even putting something underneath your legs, like a bolster, a big book, a block. Whatever you can do to arrive in a very supported version of your twist, so that we don't have to effort so much or try. Instead, you can do what is often more challenging, but also more rewarding work of really just being with yourself and enjoying your natural breath. When you're ready, use your core engagement to help lift the legs back up to center. And pausing. Great. We're going to go a little bit for the outer hips, as this, especially if you've been sitting a lot, is a common tight area, especially the piriformis here, these outer hip rotators. I'll show you with the foot first. You're going to flex the foot of the right leg, and then bring the outside of that right foot just to the outside space right below the knee of the left leg. The back is long, especially the lower back, feeling neutral. And you start to bring that supporting leg, bringing the left leg into the body while pushing that right knee away from your right shoulder. You can grab in between your legs and hold behind the knee, behind the thigh, or if you can reach, maybe grab the shin, but don't sacrifice that extension in the lower back. See if you can use a little bit more core engagement to support that opening in the outer hip, that lifted leg. Breathing deep here, opening the space between the shoulder and the knee as you use your other leg, the supporting leg, to squeeze into your body a bit. Great. One more breath here. Seeing if you can notice the full length of your spine with your inhale. Seeing if you can soften any hardness you don't need with your exhales. And then releasing and getting ready for the second side. So we flex the foot. If you're with me, now the left foot is on the outside of the left foot, grabs the outside of the right upper thigh. With a long spine, neutral pelvis, you're going to bring your supporting leg towards your body so that you can grab behind the thigh or behind on the outside of the shin. Engage the core just a little bit. That in combination with a deep breathing rhythm, you have that support to engage now in the experience in your hip. See if you can notice a little bit more fully some of the ways that this side might be very different than the other. And use your exhales especially to see if you can just relax and enjoy your experience. Enjoy that sensation and the breath. Very nice. So releasing when you're ready, just resting for a moment in neutral position. We're going to do one more big stretch here for the legs. And this one's nice if you have a strap. If you don't have a strap, that's totally okay. If you have a strap, you're going to use it right below the toes, or use a belt, or even a towel could work here. If you roll it up. You're going to put the strap on the balls of the feet. The right foot first. And we're going to try to keep that right leg vertical to the floor. But it's okay to bend the knee a little bit, especially if that's going to help you keep that length in the lower back, feeling that connection to the ground. And the supporting leg here, the left leg, can stay with the foot on the floor, or you can stretch it out. Now that's a really big stretch. Now on both legs, you might just want to stay right where you are. If you don't have the strap, you're just going to grab for the back side of the leg. Here, the upper leg, that's closer to the floor. And you're pushing the leg into your hands while also holding your hands against your leg. A little bit of isometric work there. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Relax your face. And bring the toes in the direction of your nose, in the direction of your body. Maybe even spreading the toes a little bit and doing that. As you reach up through the bottom of your foot, see if you can let the head of the leg bone, where it meets the hip, be extra heavy. Take one more big breath. And release that side. Might want to pause for a moment, as it can feel very different. I feel like my right leg is much longer than the left. Part of that is just letting the body adjust as the tissues that have been stretched and opened, maybe they need more circulation of blood and energy there. And so just noticing that can be a really interesting experience. If you're using the strap, make sure again you put it below the toes and not in the middle of the foot. We want to use the area right below the toes because we can spread that a little bit more easily. And with this active foot, we're going to get a little bit more ability to stretch the back side of the leg. So primarily the thigh here, the hamstring, rather, the back side of the upper leg, and also a little bit the calf, back side of the lower leg. A little bit of core support here, especially if that helps you notice the balance and the length in your lower back and your pelvis. So notice if the weight in the back and in the pelvis is equally resting on the floor, even as you're doing this very strong work on one side. Have that option to lengthen the other leg if you have the range, and only if that feels good. Taking one more breath here, really reaching up through the bottom of the foot as you let the leg bone be heavy. And on an exhale, release. Great stuff. Okay, we're going to do one of my all-time favorite poses here, just at the end. One last stretch for the whole body, but starting on the floor for a bridge pose. Now for this bridge pose, it's really important to have that alignment, the feet right underneath the knees, those are the back of the foot, and both knees parallel, in line with your feet, in line with your hips. For this first variation, you can bring your arms into robot arms, the hands facing inward towards each other, and the back of the head resting on the floor. Make sure you don't change the position of your head once you come up. You don't want to move the head and neck when we're bearing weight in the back body. And we really want to feel both shoulders supporting down into the ground. That's going to be our base to lift up. You might even do that without coming up first. On an inhale, start to engage the back of your shoulders, the back of the arms all the way to the elbows, and even a little bit the back of the head resting down, and your neck should feel really long. But it's also free. It's not being pushed into the ground or pinched or pulled in any way. And then release. And notice the difference. Especially if you've had any neck pain, that is a nice variation of bridge pose to try. It doesn't really require a lot, but can bring a lot of relief. And if you'd like the full version of bridge pose, make sure those knees, again, stay parallel, right above your heel. And as you inhale, pushing down through that upper support, shoulders, the back of the arms, and also adding your feet a little more as you lift your hips. You could stay with robot arms or bring your arms down to the ground. Maybe even grab the arms behind your back, just like we've done a couple times today. But none of that alignment should be sacrificed, and you definitely don't want to feel any pinching or pressure in the neck. Now reach from your knees away from your forehead as you engage the core a little bit more. Come up for one more breath, maybe reaching your highest bridge, no stress. And as you exhale, release the arms, and we're going to roll the spine down vertebra by vertebra. So one piece starting at the top, softens into the next piece at the back, until you move through the middle, feeling all of the ribs touch down, and go as slowly as you can, letting the lower back down last, and the tailbone. And then there's a gentle curve in that lower back. Once you finally touch down, the pelvis returns to its most neutral position. Sometimes I like to grab my seat here and just separate the left side of the pelvis to the left, the right side to the right, so a bit broader at the bottom. And I want to again have that natural length throughout the whole back. So at the top side, what helps me do that is lifting the upper back for a moment, bringing those shoulder blades a little closer together, and then resting the front body on the support of those shoulders, shoulder blades in the upper back. It can also feel nice to massage the sides of the neck, right behind the ear here, especially if you missed last week's self-massage, yoga as a full massage for the body. It's just one way to give yourself a little bit of that tender loving care and love. And we want the shoulders again to be relaxed so the front body's open. Bring your arms by your side and find your comfortable resting pose as we finish a few minutes of deep relaxation. You could stay right where you are. this modification for bridge. Or if you wanted to bring that chair back for behind your legs, holding the lower legs up. That's also a really nice supportive pose. Or take any version of Shavasana, classic with the legs stretched out long, the feet opening out to the sides. Arrive in your final resting pose where you can be totally easy, where you can let go of any small sensations. If you feel like you want to change something or fidget, give yourself enough support so that you can let the whole body soften, letting your whole body and mind relax. Encourage that relaxation a little bit deeper if you like. A series of progressive muscle relaxations prompted by auto-suggestion, telling yourself, I relax my feet, my legs, feet and legs, relax. My feet and legs are completely relaxed. I relax my hips and pelvis. Hips and pelvis relaxing. Hips and pelvis totally relaxed. I relax my back, lower back, middle back, upper back, relaxing. The entire back, and tail through the crown, totally relaxed. Relax my shoulders, arms, wrists, and hands. From the shoulders through the fingertips, relaxing. Shoulders, arms, wrists, and hands are all the way relaxed. I relax my head, neck, and face. Head, neck, and face, relaxing. Head, the neck, and face. And all of the gestures, all of the way, relax. Softening even more deeply, I relax my organs, my tissues. All the organs and tissues of the body, softening. The whole body, from the outside in, is wholly relaxed. Let's see if you can relax even more. Relax your mind. Relax your thoughts. Your brain and all of its activity. Relaxing. Whole body. Body, mind, and heart. Completely relaxed. To enjoy a few moments of peace and stillness. Once again, bring your attention back to your breathing. And see if you can relax and just rest your full attention in the rise and fall of your breath. When you feel ready, start to deepen your breathing. And take your time. When the breath just naturally becomes bigger, the body will start to move more, vibrating with fresh, oxygenated blood as you get ready for the rest of your day. If you like, you can bring your arms overhead and with the lower back resting down to the ground. From your center, reach out in all directions. One last big stretch. And exhale. And release. Arms by your side. Maybe even rolling the head side to side. Before bending your legs one at a time. And then rolling over onto your side. Before you help yourself up into one final easy seat. Feel free to sit in any way that feels good for you. Sitting up tall. Just taking a moment here at the end of your practice to savor the overall effects. Especially noticing how you feel in your back, in your body. And also noticing how quiet in your mind, how soft and relaxed in your breath. Thank you for being here, for sharing your practice. Namaste.